Good morning, and good morning. Yes, I'm back at my own place. My daughter is doing better, and I thank all of you all who decided it wasn't a trouble to send her a card or give give us phone calls or text messages. She is doing much better. So I'm back on my own front, feeling comfortable, back in my own environment, and feeling really good this morning. Although I am just a little disturbed. Someone decided to hack my Facebook account through the Instagram side, which I don't use much. I've always just used like Facebook and occasionally Messenger. But apparently, because Meta owns and operates all those platforms, so Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, are all connected. So whoever this individual was decided to use a Laura underscore Mrs., which is MRS, RNS0039. Oh, yes, I have it memorized. Yes. And the reason they decided to do that, I do not know. But whatever they were um, displaying on the Instagram account, I was blocked from it, so I couldn't see it. And whatever it was, it must have been so horrible in terms of I don't know if it was bad language. I don't know if it was something that was pornographic. I have no idea. But my account was immediately shut down, and I can't not get into the account at all. And so I've been working on it, and I really pride myself well, and feel very proud, let me put it that way, of the fact that I had, really been working hard to, grow my following on that platform. But it is what it is. You just find out that there are mean-spirited people for whatever the reason, and you have no control over it. I don't have control over other people. I have control over myself. I would never do that kind of thing to someone. But anyway, it is done. We're working trying to get it back, but currently it is down. So I only have Facebook if I want to start another account. I had to start another Instagram account because that was the first one they did, and now they also, that same individual, that same handle, did the second one. So anyway, we're going to move on as if these horrible people don't exist. There's other horrible people in the world doing other things, and some of those things are dealing with the possibility that more things will be will cost us more for everything. And I concern myself. I know it's tax season and everybody has to get their taxes together, so we have to be mindful of the fact that regardless of what we think, taxes have to be paid, and after taxes we need to be mindful about how we hold on to our cash, especially with the tariffs that are being established one time, and then they may go up or they may go down, but it just affects the amount of cash that you may have available. So I wanted to just go back and do an oldie but goodie, and I did this one I think in 2021 or 2022. I'm not quite sure. So it's been about three, 2.5 to 3 years or more now. And so I'm going to talk about money. Let's talk about cash. Cash, CASH. And what is it? It's money in coins or notes as distinct from checks, money orders, or check or credit. All cash. The thing about it is that we don't realize that we're worth something beyond just the content of who we are. We're worth something if we have money that we've saved, or we need, or money that pays for our houses or our cars or our food or our electronics. All those kinds of things cost money. It is cash. No matter which way you want to give it to them, credit, but it's still cash. You still want your money later on. So we have to look at, well, what do we do with money, um, except we realize it's being demanded so many places and for so much, and we're getting less. We're finding that we're getting less for our money, but we still got to do it. So anyway, what is cash? It's money. It's legal tender, hard cash, banknotes, dough, loot, bread, um, ducats. I always remember my brother saying, "You got any ducats?" No, I don't even know what a ducat is, but I didn't back then. Rhino, they call it, gravy, lolly, and the Benjamins, which is obviously very, very slang, the Benjamins. And they always thought Benjamins were the $100 bills. If you had a $100 bill, you were probably if you were young, you probably would have thought you were rich just to see $100 bill. I remember the first hundred I ever witnessed, and I was like, oh, wow, I got $100. Well, spends just as quickly as the dollar if you don't pay attention. My mother always said, once you break 100, you're already broke. Once you break 100, once you go and use it for something, that means the rest of its value will probably be used even faster than you made the decision to use the first 100 or the 100 before it was broken. But anyway, when we break the word down, we talk about the C of cash being cautious. We need to be cautious with our cash, careful to avoid potential problems or dangers. Many of us don't even think about it. Whatever we see and we want, we buy. That's a problem. That's a problem because everything we see and we want should not be purchased, should not be bought, because that puts us at what I call first of all, it puts us at a deficit. It also puts us at the beck and call of somebody saying, yeah, they easy. We can show them this. I got these same bags in. I'm gonna call them and tell them these bags are back in, or I got this, these watches they like, or the earrings, or whatever it is that we have a fancy for. And I got to be honest, at one time, I was a bad girl. Every single purse by Brahmin I wanted, you know. And then I had to have a Dooney and Burke. And then I had to have a Louis Vuitton. I didn't buy my Louis Vuitton. My sister did. I bought a knockoff in Europe, though. I did. I bought a knockoff while I was in Europe. They had knockoffs. But my sister bought my first real Louis Vuitton. And I just remember the excitement of having things, even though they cost cash. I never worried about the cash. I just worried about what I had, the luxury of it, the fact that it was just mine. You know, I don't get all excited about that anymore. I carry a little Coach, and it's little now. This is how big it is, little, little, little. But and it just hangs over my little shoulder. It's a crossbody. I love it because it's easy. My hands are free, and I'm not breaking down my spine carrying those heavy bags, because sometimes the bags themselves may have been 8 pounds. I'm not a big person, so having a bag that's already 8 pounds suggests to me that it's too heavy. It was too heavy. But that's what we do. We give, and we want what we want. There's some people, it may be cars for them, it may be clothes for them, it may be food. A lot of people buy food every single day. They do not take their lunch in. Well, I can tell you one thing about Sandra Winnie, Dr. Winnie. Every day I worked for the government all those years, I took my lunch probably 98% of the time, every day, unless we had a special lunch, engagement where all of us were going out as a group, or I was on travel. Then I had to buy my lunch. Okay. But for the most part, I did not waste my money on buying lunch every day. It's like, okay, so if I cooked at home today, then that meal became my lunch for the next day. That's how I would do that. And sometimes I'd make enough where I could have it for dinner, lunch, and then dinner again, just trying to spread it out. But I had to get smart about that. because the job probably prior to that, every time the cafeteria opened and I got there, I was buying something, and I just realized that money, cash money, will get you can get rid of it so easily. Okay, it will go without you. Next thing you know, you're there alone with no money, no cash, no ducats, no rhino, no gravy, no lolly, no Benjamins. Okay, so you have to be cautious. Cautious says you're going to be careful about your money, careful about your cash, weary, made aware. And it says heedful, attentive, alert, hyperventilative. That's what it says. Circumspect, meaning, okay, I don't want it just to go there. All right. It says you must be prudent and guarded. When we think about our cash, we need all of those, words. We need every one of them, to account for what it is that we're doing with our cash. We need to be cautious. Then when we move on in our word of cash, we also need to realize cash is an asset. And assets simply mean that we have something to show for the work that we've been involved in. We've earned this money. Or maybe we inherited the money. But does that mean that you throw it away? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So an asset, simply stated, represents the value and ownership that can be converted into cash. Meaning the asset could be the actual cash itself, or the assets, meaning like a home can be, sold, and then whatever the residual is off of that sale, that becomes, your money, your asset, or your cash, which also builds up, the frame that you're in, how well you're stable for whatever's coming at you, whatever that is, and can I ward it off? Can I make sure that if a bill needs to be paid, can I pay it? That's what it's looking at. So it says, and it's also, although cash itself is also considered an asset, that's what we have to think. So the house, the car, or maybe the houses in the car, also the things, excuse me, also the things that we have, in our house, our possessions, that's also cash. It can be basically sold off and made into your cash. I'm gonna turn that off. So we look at our assets, and assets are our benefit. It's our blessing, our forte, our talent. Your talent is also an asset, because if it can earn you money, it can earn you something as cash. Strong point is an asset. Good point, redeeming features. It has value. It's a resource, meaning that you don't have to go to anyone else. You can borrow you on your own money because it's yours. It also talks about what you've been compensated for. It's a feature of compensation when you have an asset, of what it is that either something was given you back for what you sold, or it might be something that someone gave you for what you did for them. Okay. Then assets also talks about it being the saving grace. Let's face it, if we have money, we have grace. Someone was detected at we also have peace. We absolutely have peace of mind if we are doing right by the cash that we have. I remember coming up, we always talked about when we got a penny. My mother said we always wanted to go to the store, to the little 5 and 10 cent store, and get candy. We wanted, and at that time, like candy, those little I think they call it dollars, and I used to love them. They pull out your teeth, but they were little red little dollars, and we go and get, you could get 3 for a penny, three of those for a penny, and a Tootsie Roll, and a this and that. And we'd have a bag full of brown bag full of candy, and we just thought we were rich. No, the richness of it is that we already gave away the money that if we saved it, we could even buy better stuff, not candy that was going to pull out our teeth. We didn't realize that. But anyway, so the saving grace was is if we save it, the grace is that we have it when we need it. That's grace. That is grace. So then the S for me, what I did is I put my S as I'm going to save my cash. Save is the S. It says it's saving is income not spent, or it's deferred compensation, or for deferred consumption. You've been compensated, and then you can look at it later on and realize that it is a consumption, meaning you gathered it, you have it. It's in a bank, it's in an IRA, it's in a savings account, checking account, but it's yours. That's your cash. That is your cash, but it's also your savings. And saving is an income not spent or deferred consumption. The methods of saving include putting money aside, and for example, a deposit account, a pension account. I mean, how many of you are really looking out and saving for, your retirement? Or you're in retirement and realizing that maybe some of the things that are going on now are messing with your retirement funds, such as if you don't have it in a safe portion of the retirement system that you're in, and you have it in the risky area where you're trying to make some more money being added to it based on the stock market, then you might be a little jittery every now and then, It also talks about the investment funds, or it talks about as cash itself. Saving also involves reducing expenditures such as reoccurring costs. So reducing, that means if you're having accounts that keep popping up every single month, like a Target account or a Lowe's account or a Home Depot, whatever it is, you keep that account, with owing money to it. That means that you're constantly going into whatever money you could be saving. So you're looking at it. How can this happen? How can this be done? Good morning, Big Mo. I didn't know if anybody's going to find me on here, but yes, this is my one place, only because somebody decided to hack my regular account. Still trying to get it back, but I appreciate you looking for me. I appreciate that so much. But hope you're doing well. How's your money? How's your cash? That's what I'm talking about this morning. We talk about our cash in such a way that right now you need to be paying attention to it. If you have it in a risky account, that are, involved with the stock market, that's a concern. Because if you're a person that just says let it rip, then guess what? Whatever happens to it happens to it. But if you're an individual who's saying, you know what, I'm going to watch my money. I'm going to watch it in such a way where I'm going to put it over here in the safe area right now until I can go back out. Okay, I don't know how that's going to be, but I'm going to do it. But that's how it's done. That's exactly how it's done. So anyway, you talk about to put money aside, keeping it safe is your savings, storing it up, making sure that this week you made $500 and $350 went to your bills. Excuse me, you have $150 left. What you gonna do with it? Put some in savings. Put some, set it aside. Put it to where you know where it is later on. It says conserve it, stockpile it if you can, board it up where nothing touches it. No matter what's going on, nothing touches that money. It says save for a rainy day, keep it for the future, for future use, and put it in a safe place. Now I remember when my mother and grandmother, especially my grandmother used to keep her money. She didn't want to go into a bank. She kept her money up under the mattress, and anybody went in her room was suspect. Didn't trust them. So nobody went in her room. So, but that was the times, we got better and we got a little bit more trusting. And so we went to banks and, or we went to a safe deposit box, but we found some way to give us some comfort in how we were taking care of our money. We had to. So to me, I look at stockpiling a little bit for a rainy day just in case something comes up, and anybody that owns a house, anybody, anybody, even if they are paid for, things gonna go wrong. Something's gonna act like it's not right, and it goes wrong. And when it goes wrong, we have to figure out how to do it. How do we do that? How do we do that if we have no money? So you have to put money away for things that are going to break, you know. Certainly, and I use the warranty companies that, I know that things break. And I think that's one of the best things where you pay the annual fee and then you pay a service fee when they come out. That's worth it. Otherwise, if I try to fix it, it will be more than broke. Okay. It would be broke double time. So I don't do it. I make it my business to go with companies that guarantee their work, come on at a time which works for me, and I feel that I've gotten my money's worth. That's the way I do it. So I stockpile it. I put money to the side for a rainy day in case something comes up in my house or my car, or my daughter might need something. That's the way I look at life. And then my H, as I move on to finish up today's word of cash, is we must be heedful with our money, heedful with our cash, aware of and attentive to. Heedful, aware of and attentive to, meaning I don't need anybody else to watch my money or watch what I'm even doing with my money. But what I do need to do is pay attention for myself. Heedful. Am I aware of it? Am I aware of what's needed for this month? I try to be. But occasionally something comes up that wasn't on the agenda. And I realize, I got to fix that. The radiator breaks in the car. Got to fix that. You need 2 new tires. Some had an accident. That this isn't covered under your warranty. Got to fix it. Those kinds of things we must be aware of and pay attention to. So I look at, how I take care of my bills is the same way I take care of my money. I need the money, my cash, in order to make sure that bills that come up that I have no idea they're coming, but I still have to get them fixed, get something fixed in order for me to continue my operating smoothly in life. We must pay attention to that. So heedful, it says being aware of and attentive to. So it also talks about being careful, mindful, cautious. There's that word again, which I started with for cash. Prudent. How many of us are prudent spenders, prudent savers? Circumspect, meaning everything that wants your money shouldn't get it. Just because I like the color of that new, purse that they came out with doesn't mean I need that new purse. Okay? Or I like that new sunglasses, that new tie for men, that new watch. Here's the thing, the new sneakers. I went to the foot doctor probably about 3 weeks ago, and he says, you need some New Balances. And so, I'm talking to my daughter. He said, but you need the good ones. So I'm talking to my daughter, and we go to the store, and the sneakers were like, I don't know, I think it was $164, $169. I'm like, what? Okay. No, I didn't buy them yet. No, but I'm going to. And it's just that I have to decide when I'm going to buy them. They're expensive. They're very expensive. But anyway, so it says we also need to be alert about our cash, very aware, observant as to how much comes in and how much is going out. Like I've had a few folks tell me that they only took in X amount of dollars in terms of their pay, but they had overspent for the month, and could could I let them borrow money to catch up? Well, my thing is that I may let you borrow. Rarely do I do that. Most of the time, I will give you something only because if you had to borrow for that, you'll probably be borrowing for everything else. And I don't want to put you in that position where I'm upset with you because you haven't given me back my money. Now, I can also tell you this, I'm not big on giving people anything. I am a giver, but it's things that I feel are reasonable. You know, for you to be $500 behind in your lights, and your lights are about to be cut off, that's a problem for you. That's a problem. But I'm not going to make your problem my problem. I'm not going to do it. Because we must be consistent in what we do to take care of ourselves. So our cash, when we make it, we set it out where we have, lights cost this much a month, and, garbage, and then, looking at water bill. So everything, if you measure it out, then you know how much you must have. And then of course, on top of that, you have to add your rent, your gas, and your food. You know, those things are essential. To me, no one can live well these days and not have the essential things being met. But we have to be the ones who do the meeting. We have to be the ones who take it on as to the importance of not only our cash, but also what we do with our cash. You know, um, it also says in being heedful, talks about being observant and aware, watchful. If you see that you're spending too much, pull back, stop spending. You know, if you're a person that eats out every day, at lunch every day, make it a point that maybe instead of doing 5 days a week, only do two. That's saving some money. Or if you're going to do 3 days a week, then whatever you're buying at home, take food in those other 2 days. Take it in, and find out that $400, $500 a month goes out the window extremely fast if you're doing fast food. In fact, my daughter wanted something while I was over at her house, and for one fish sandwich, which at McDonald's I remember being 189. Excuse me, the sandwich with tax and everything was six something. Okay, $6 and change. She didn't get any fries. It was just a sandwich. So sometimes we have to pay attention to what were we paying and what are they requiring us to pay now. So they've gone up, meaning that we have to be mindful of the fact that we can't go to them as easily. Well, we can go to them easily, but we can't use our money as much as we once were able to do, where you could feed somebody reasonably on a McDonald's meal. A McDonald's meal may be $40 and $50 for a family of four, because some of those meals are 10 something now if you get the drink, the fries, and the sandwich. Very expensive. Very, very, very. So heedful also says that you're paying attention, you're hyper virulent, and you're on guard. And most of all, you are alert. You are alert. You are alert. You're paying attention to your money. Where is it going? What's it going to? How much is gone? How much is left? Can I pay my bills? Well, I'd be honest with you. I took a class once, and one of the classes said, which surprised me. It says you must pay yourself first. That's a pause for me in the class. So I asked the instructor, I said, why would you do that? And they said, that's how you build your savings. Pay yourself first. Then pay all of your bills. Not some of them, all of them. Set it aside. So some bills may not, be due until the end of the month. And this is the first of the month. So still set it aside. So as the money comes in for this week, the check that I got, especially if you get a check twice a month, these bills are paid out of the first check. These bills are paid out of the second check. You're looking at the understanding of being able to take care of yourself under any condition. And the only way you can do that is by deciding the importance of your cash versus, all the things that you need or don't need. What you don't need, you don't need. Don't buy them. What you need, certainly put the money into them. But pay yourself first, meaning you're setting up a savings, and then setting aside money for your bills for each of your checks that come in. So, anyway, that's today's session. I'm hoping that you all enjoyed it. I apologize for not being on Facebook. Not my fault, certainly. As I said, somebody decided to play scam, hacker, mean person at my expense. So maybe we'll get it back, and then maybe I have to start all over on that platform. Try not to do that because I had 4.4K thousand followers, and I had all of the badges from them, even from last week. So somebody's just mean, and I wish them well to do something else in the future, something that is just much more that may be enjoyable to them, but it's not enjoyable to the person. So I say less kind. Do something that's less kind to others. Anyway, that's my session. Listen, hit the share button and share this. Pass it on to somebody else that Dr. Winnie is around, and I come to talk about some of everything, current issues. And I'm always asking you, are you stuck? And sometimes we are stuck. But I love you and I appreciate you. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day, great weekend. I'll be back on Monday. I'll see you then. Are you stuck? Not until Monday. Thank you. Bye-bye.